Hello again, beautiful beings. I hope that you are all having an amazing day so far. And this is a video that I wanted to share with all of you in relation to vibration, frequency, and perception. So how do we live the highest vibrational life, right? And I want to pre-apologize because there's construction galore happening all around our place. So if you hear banging and stuff like that, you know why. So this is a download that I had a couple of days ago that I've been meaning to share with all of you. I'll definitely be sure to post this to YouTube. So if you don't catch all of this, definitely check it out on YouTube. So this is in relation to vibration and perception. In order to move into a higher frequency, in order to live your best life, it's all about raising your vibrational frequency, right? And so how do we do that? That's the biggest question that I think we all have. How do we raise our vibration? How do we enter into crystalline frequency? How do we go into the fifth dimension? How do we live our best life through raising our vibration? And this is, it's all in the same vein of what I've talked about and taught and discussed before, but I want to relay it in a new way, because this is a way that I've never really thought of before as far as vibration. So here it is. Here's the thing. Our perception creates our vibration. And this is very interesting because I do have tattoos on my shoulders. I'm sure most of you know if you've seen my tattoo video. And so on one shoulder it says knowledge squared, being all knowledge of the physical and all knowledge of the non-physical. Knowledge squared plus perception equals reality. That's an equation that came downloaded to me when I was around 18, 19 years old. So knowledge plus perception equals reality. So we take all truth of the physical and the non-physical world, we add our perception, how we perceive that information. So the knowledge of this pen is that it is existing as a pen in its atomic form. That would be the physical knowledge of this pen. Now, based on my perception around the pen, it creates my entire reality with the pen and myself interacting. So I could say, I love this pen because I love the color green and it reminds me of my heart chakra and I love it. Or my perception of this pen could be negative. I hate this pen because when I was in elementary school, I ended up getting stabbed by a pen just like it, right? Or whatever. So you take the knowledge of the physical thing or the knowledge of the vibrational thing, we add our perception to it, and it creates our overall collective reality individually. The other shoulder that I have, the opposite of what reality is truth. So very similar. You take knowledge squared, knowledge of the physical and all knowledge of the non-physical. This time you minus perception. You take our perception out of it, and that equals truth. Knowledge minus perception equals truth. Knowledge plus perception equals reality, right? This is something that I channeled a long time ago. But just the other day, this piece of information came to me, and I don't know if this is like shattering this belief or it's adding value to it. And it is the fact that perception equals vibration. Perception equals vibration. So I go back to this example just because it's an easy example to go back to. If you have salmon, on your plate that you're about to eat, your perception of that salmon could be really negative. Like, I don't usually eat fish because, they have a consciousness, which they do, and I feel bad about eating this. You could think the same about a cup of coffee or a salad or what have you, right? Everything holds vibration, frequency, consciousness. So your vibration of eating the salmon could be very low. I don't want to eat this because I'm feeding into this corrupt system and this poor salmon went through a lot of pain. Or you could do energy work on that salmon and say, I'm eating this because I know it's going to give me the whatever it gives you, right? The amino acids or the fatty, fish, whatever it gives you, right? The omega-3s. And at the same time, I'm going to give this salmon love, so my perception of this food is heightened. Now, what's interesting about this concept of our perception creates our vibration. It's very fascinating, and this could be the key that really unlocks how do we raise our vibration. So let's go back to the pen, right? Something that's neutral and objective and something that most of you don't really have a perception around. A pen is a pen and it does what I want it to do, right? It just writes things, and sometimes it doesn't work. So taking the awareness of this pen, what is my perception of this pen? My perception is that it does the job that I want it to do, which is writing things down. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate it even more because it's green and I love the color green or what have you, right? So based on my perception of this pen, it creates my vibration in this moment while I'm interacting with this physical thing. Some people have a very low or very negative perception of me, or maybe some people have a low or negative perception of you. That creates their vibration when they're in your presence. So if we're asking the fundamental question, which is, how do we get to the next evolutionary level? How do we move into 5D frequency, right? It's all based on raising your vibration. So then how do we raise our vibration? We switch our perception. That's what it comes down to. We switch our perception. And that is brilliant because that alludes to the fact that we're in control of the vibration that we're in. Because the vibration that we're in, depending on what we're interacting with or who we're having conversations with from moment to moment, is based on our perception. How do you perceive that person? So say, for example, you're thinking about your job. And you're like, I hate my job, Elizabeth. What do I do, right? What do I do if I hate my job? And I said, I would say, right? Well, what's your perception around your job? Why do you hate your job? I hate my job because it's not what I do. It's not what I love to do. It's not my passion. I don't make as much money as I'd like to make, and I feel stuck. Those are all very valid reasons to have a lower perception around your job, right? Very, very valid. But because we live in a dualistic, binary, polarized reality, there is always two halves to the whole of a situation. We could have two people in the same room observing the same thing and having two very, very different perceptions about it. The beautiful thing about no matter if you got stabbed by a pen when you were younger, or you hate the color green, or you love the color green, no matter what spectrum you're on, no matter what experiences you've had with the physical object, the person, the energy, the vibration, the emotion, there's really only two sides to the scale. There's really only two sides to the coin. Either your perception about something is going to be a high vibrational perception, or your perception about something is going to be low vibrational. No matter what your perception is, it is adding or subtracting from your current vibrational state. Once again, we have the power to change our vibration through changing our perception. Sometimes when you're in a shitty mood and life is collapsing around you, also, has anyone else had major technology issues, no matter, there's certain things in the past couple weeks that have just gone so effortlessly, so easily, so meant to be. And there are a shit ton of other things that I've been so blocked on, so stopped on, so websites are shutting down, logins aren't working, computers are breaking down, sound is getting disconnected and cut. It's been crazy what's been going on recently. So I don't know what kind of planet is in retrograde right now, but it's been tough. It's been really, and I want to mention one more thing too, just about the energy recently. There's been a lot of misinterpretation. And I think maybe that's why this topic is really getting spawned in my own thinking, is this concept of misinterpretation. So once again, it's our perception. It's how we perceive something that creates the vibration. And that's powerful because we can perceive something a different way to switch our vibration around that. So if you're having a shitty day, you're having a shitty week, nothing's going your way, and I were to say, come on, just raise your vibration. Okay, so what do? How do I raise my vibration? Like, it's not enough to just say, oh, have a good vibe about that. That's not going to work because it's not dealing with the underlying aspect of why your vibration is lower based on this thing. We're all experiencing this collective reality, and some of you are experiencing it at a much lower vibration than others, and vice versa, right? So how do we switch our vibration when we're all getting caught up in quarantine, when we're all getting, dealing with the limitations within society at this time? It's about your perception. So going back to the job example, you hate your job for all of these valid reasons, and your perception is lower for all of these valid reasons. Okay, so moving forward from that, how can you switch your perception around in relation to these things that trigger you, or the things that you hate, or the things that really create resistance within your reality? How do you switch your perception and raise your vibration through a different perception? Just go to the opposite. My job doesn't serve me because I'm not getting paid enough, I'm not doing what I love to do, and I have no passion for it. All valid reasons. I love my job. Despite all of these reasons, I love my job because it pays my bills. The second that we can perceive something, anything in our life, from one end of the spectrum, which is super low vibes, to the other end of the spectrum, which is super high vibes, right? Super high perception, or positive, appreciative perception, then we come to this place where we are able to observe that thing or that person or that situation from a place of neutrality. From the place of neutrality, you have all of your power back. When we are caught up in resistance, or we are caught up in an illusion of grandeur or an illusion of, spiritual optimism, let's call it, okay, or spiritual bypassing, you're not able to see it for what it is, which is good and bad, right? So I'm hoping that this makes sense, right? The best place that we can be in our life, for all of the things in our life, is to see it from both sides of the spectrum, to understand it from both polarity aspects, from both dualistic perspectives. When we can do that, we go back into neutrality. Some days I hate this pen, and some days I love this pen, and it really depends on my perception of it in the moment. And that perception will either raise my vibration or help to raise my vibration, or that perception will lower my vibration or help to lower my vibration. So how do we change our vibration? How do we live in a high vibration? First of all, I want to say that it's not realistic to expect yourself to live in a high vibration all the time. It would be actually detrimental to expect yourself to be in a high vibe all the time. It's just, we're human beings. We're living in a dualistic reality. Every day we are confronted with dualism and polarity. When you can appreciate polarity, when you can appreciate dualism for what it is, which is a lesson that enables us to grow, because we get to experience and see both sides of things, then we get to a place where we're never really triggered, where we're never really in reaction, where we're never really pissed off. And I haven't gotten there yet. I'm still learning, I'm still growing, I'm still a student, I still get triggered and pissed off and frustrated, mostly for no reason whatsoever. But when we're able to I just want to mention one more thing. There are days that we have as human beings where we wake up and the world is just a shitstorm. And recently there have been those days where we just wake up on the wrong side of the bed and we're like, you know what, nothing's going right. And those are the days when I wake up and I'm like getting dressed and I'm like slamming drawers and things aren't like folding right. And it's like silly things that just aren't working out, just aren't aligning. But it's the energy and vibration that I'm holding, and I wake up and there isn't one thing that I can pinpoint. Typically what that means, and if you or your partner or your best friend or your family member is in that place most of the time where they can't pinpoint why they feel so reactionary, it means that there's very deep subconscious limiting beliefs, traumas from childhood, from past lifetimes that are still there that we need to basically unpack, right? That person needs to unpack. If you feel like most of the time you're in a good place and you don't have these random, unexpected, shitty moments that are happening to you where you just feel pissed off for no reason, that's a good sign. It's a sign that you've done a lot of that shadow work, that you are unpacking, that you have unpacked a lot of the layers of the past. Fantastic. But that still doesn't take away. That's just old shit, all right? It still doesn't take away from where you are moment to moment within your day and the fact that the website that you really need to log on to isn't allowing you to log on or what have you, right? Or you still hate your job or, you're still questioning your relationship or whatever that thing is in your life. When we can pinpoint our frustration or our reactions, that is when you can take your power back and basically flip your perception around it. When you're just waking up and you're in a mood, that's a little bit trickier. That's some deep inner work that you need to do to heal wounds that you can't perceive. And that sucks because you don't know where that's coming from. Most of the time, I don't know where that's coming from either. Even though I could tap into it, sometimes I don't, right? So when it comes down to one thing or one person or one conversation that's triggering you, that is when I really implore you to think about something within that situation that you can appreciate and value in that moment. Like maybe someone in your life like really fucked up and like really did you wrong and really wasn't kind to you or stole your money or whatever it may be. Try and find a reason to appreciate that person being in your life. Try and find a reason to appreciate why you attracted that vibration and that situation. And when you can do that, all of a sudden, you have now gone to the deepest, lowest vibrational level of that experience. Then you've gone to a higher vibrational level of that experience. And then all of a sudden, you have the capability to find that 0 point neutrality place right in the middle of the low vibe and the high vibe so that you can be like, okay, how do I want to proceed with this? How do I move forward with this? And within that 0 point, right in the middle of the dualistic experience, that's when you get to clear and neutralize any and all karma around that. Very similar to, say, for example, you lived in a hot place like I don't know, like Hawaii or Mexico or either Southern California, right? Or the desert, Joshua Tree or something. So you lived in this beautiful, always sunny, always warm, hot place, and you love that warmth, you love that sun, you love that atmosphere so much that all you do is have high vibes around that thing, which could potentially spiral and lead you to a super low vibe situation, which is all of a sudden you travel to, I don't know, Antarctica, or you go to Utah and it's 4 seasons and you experience the winter and you experience cold, and all of a sudden your super attachment to all the good vibes of the thing leads you into experiencing something that's way more, low vibe or pessimistic or negative or what have you. That's positive. That's a positive experience. There is not one thing, there is not one person, there is not one experience, there is not one physical object that is all good or all bad. When we can just accept the fact that we live in a dualistic reality, we can move forward being open-minded to understand that there's good and bad in everything. And for me, I'm on the hunt to experience all that there is to experience in both a high vibrational frequency and a low vibration. I am open-minded enough to experience my perception being negative and pessimistic as well as being positive and uplifting. I think it's detrimental to be too positive, too love and light, too butterflies and rainbows, but also too negative and too dark and too shadow work, right? When we get to that place where we're open to experiencing everything this reality has to offer, there is no more expectation. There is no more attachment. Therefore, there is no more disappointment. There is no more frustration. Frustration and fear in the ways that it pertains to one thing or one person or one situation specifically. There's still going to be those weird vibes that you get every once in a while where you're just waking up in a bad mood, or it's triggered by something that you can't perceive. And that's just that deeper purging that we have to go through. So so I wanted to bring this up. I wanted to kind of get your minds going on how do we raise our vibration, and the fact that it is purely in this reality anyway. I can't speak to other dimensions and other bodies and other realities because I'm speaking for us as human beings. Our perception on something dictates our vibration around the thing. And if you have a pen and a paper and you want to write that down, I highly recommend that. Our perception around something dictates the vibration around that thing. And you know what? This has been proven. It's been proven by the placebo effect. I mean, it's crazy the studies they've done within the placebo effect. Our perception about something dictates our vibration around it. So what do you need to do to change your vibration? Be aware of your perception and understand that if you're looking at something from one angle, you're only seeing half of the picture. If you're only perceiving this reality as physical, you're only seeing half of the picture. If you're perceiving this reality as all vibrational, you're only seeing half of the picture. And that being said, the time is now. I gotta go because I gotta be more in the present moment. Love you guys so, so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. And give extra love to the things that frustrate you or trigger you or don't align to your beliefs or highest perception, because it is amazing to be in this reality, experiencing all of the things that this reality has to experience, even if they're negative. And that is beautiful in and of itself. Bye for now.